Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Book Club Preview. I'm Michael, and today we're looking at Ender's Game, Chapter 5, Games. It might be The Games. But it starts off with Graf and another person talking about the last chapter. And the other guy is saying, wow, Graf, you did a great job planning that launch. You isolated Ender. You did such an amazing job. And Graf was like, oh, it was kind of an accident. I didn't mean to. And they're talking about Ender and how Ender has to be isolated. And the guy says, man, Ender's not going to be able to have any friends. And Graf says, he can have friends, that's fine. But he can't have any parents. He can't have anyone that's going to come in and save the day. We have to keep him isolated. And if we can't, then we've lost him. Like, we've already messed up. We've already broken the system or the training, and he's gone. And so then that is how the chapter starts. Ender goes off into his room with the other students, and he has maybe the worst bunk, which is next to the door on the bottom. Usually people like to sleep on the top bunk. And so he gets the last pick. But instead of saying like, oh, can someone trade bunks with me? Oh, I don't want this bunk. He takes it with power and he says, whoa, oh man, I thought I was going to have to ask for this bunk. Thanks, guys, for leaving me the best bunk. And he just acts really happy. Like, he's not kind of like trying to fake it, but he sounds very sincere when he says it. And some of the other students or soldiers kind of look at him like, oh, shoot, we were trying to do something bad, but now it's good, and they're a little confused. Ender starts to play around with his bunk, and he learns how to open the locker. He's looking at all sorts of different things. And then Dap comes in. Dap is the leader of this group, and he's an older boy. And he's very funny and very calm and very friendly. And all of the boys love him very quickly. And Ender's thinking, wow, this guy's very clever. But it's not very hard to win a room full of boys over very quickly. Dap says that they can choose their leader later, but usually the leader sleeps in the bunk that Ender's in. But because Ender already signed his name in and locked that locker, they can't change it. So Dap comes. He's a pretty cool guy. Ender is kind of alone for the next few days. Bernard, who is the boy that Ender broke his arm, ends up becoming like a hero. He's kind of bigger, and he kind of gets a group of other boys that are bigger and grumpy around him, and they form like a gang. And so Ender ends up being kind of alone. He eats by himself all the time. And finally, an older kid named Mick comes, and he starts to give Ender some advice. First of all, he gives Ender some bread, and he takes Ender's pudding. I don't know if that was good or bad, but he says, eat the good stuff. And he says, I'm getting washed out. I'm not going to go to officers training. I'm going to go to combat training. But don't be like me. Work hard, make friends, do well in the system, become a leader. And he says, in every group, there's always one bugger. There's always one outcast. There's always one person that's by themselves. And he says, that might be you, but don't let it be you. Become the leader. And then Mick says, you know what? You're a launchy. You don't understand what I'm saying. You're going to be in combat school just like me. But don't say I didn't warn you. And Mick leaves. At night, all of the boys are in bed crying. I miss my mommy. And I don't think all the boys are crying, but probably most. And Dap comes into the room, and he slowly starts to pat some. He touches some. And where he pats and touches, the crying actually gets worse. Because maybe they feel some comfort. They feel even worse. But Ender, he cries too, but he cries very, very quietly. And he whispers a name very quietly. Valentine. And so by the time Dap gets to him, Ender's already finished crying and everything. So then he just thinks, well, you know what? this is the only reason I am so strong right now is because of Peter, because how evil Peter is. So he's like, well, at least thank you for this, Peter. You made me strong. So while they're studying and while they're training, they do have some free time to get to the games. And the games is kind of like an arcade room of a bunch of different kind of games. And there's one game in particular that Ender sees all the boys kind of around. And Ender kind of tries to watch and see, and then he gets close and he's looking around, and the boys kind of push him out of the way and call him names, and he has to go around and come back a different way. And he's watching until he realizes, I think I understand this game. I was watching, he's like, oh, I think I could beat the computer forever. And then he's like, oh, but I'd really love to play human. And so he gets up close and he challenges the winner. He says, I want to challenge you for the next game. And all the other boys say, Dog, get out of here, Launchy. You're too young. You're too kid. You're just a fart. And he says, why? Are you too scared to beat a Launchy? He says, the best 2 out of 3. Let's do 3 battles. First 2 wins. And the other guys don't want to. The winner doesn't want to. But Ender says, okay, yeah, if you're scared of a Launchy. So finally, they decide, okay, let's play him. And so Ender starts, and he's playing the game, and he gets defeated the first time pretty quickly. And they say, oh, okay, Launchy, get out of here, you lost. But he says, whoa, we said 2 out of 3. They said, this is the first time I've ever played the game. Are you going to feel good about beating a Launchy the first time you ever the first time you ever played? Fine. They play again. This time, the game goes longer and longer. And Ender, barely wins. Wow. People are kind of like, what the? Oh, it's just luck. Come on, do the third game. And they play the third game, and Ender beats the kid really quickly. The other guys start to say, oh, this stupid game. These games aren't hard enough anymore. And they start to say bad things about Ender. But as Ender leaves, he kind of turns and he watches. And he sees the boys trying to use the skills and the tactics that Ender used while he was playing. So Ender goes back to the bunk area. Maybe if several days have gone by, maybe several weeks. And Ender's gotten really good at using the system. In fact, he's hacked the computer system. So he's learned some of the security things, and he can do some tricky things. And he starts to use this system to have a silent battle against Bernard. There's a war. There's the open war, which is using your force, using physicality, Bernard pushing people around. And there's the quiet war, behind the lines, behind the scenes, where Ender's doing security program hacking, things like that. And he starts to send these messages from Bernard. So Bernard has a few people that he picks on. One boy is Shen, and Shen, when he walks, his little butt wiggles, and so Bernard makes fun of him, and everyone starts laughing, and Shen gets really embarrassed and he's angry, and then Ender writes this message. He says, "Look out! Bernard is looking at your butts," and he signs it from God. Whenever you send a message, the name of the person who sent the message always appears. And so if Ender sent this message, it would show his name. But somehow he made a way to where it showed God. And he sends this message, and everyone sees it, and everyone starts laughing. And Shen kind of knows that Ender did it, but he doesn't know how. And then Ender also uses the system to send another one saying, I love butts, I love looking at your butts, and he signs it as Bernard, and he sends it. And so everyone goes crazy. Bernard loses his power as the leader of this team or this room. He even gets in trouble a little bit from Dap, and because he's yelling, and Dap says, "Are you yelling at me, soldier?" And Bernard's like, "No, sure." And so he loses power, and some other people kind of get some freedom. So Ender wins the quiet war in a way. And that is how the chapter ends, with Shen and Ender sitting together and slowly becoming friends. Sarcastically, saying something but meaning the opposite. You're so beautiful. Oh yeah, you're real smart. Okay, this is sarcastic. Saying something some way, but having the sound to mean the opposite. Tentatively, which means temporarily, not immediately or not permanently. Extricated is like take out. I think when Ender's trying to watch the games, people would take him out, or he would extricate himself. He would leave before he got in trouble. Scrunch face is just another way to call someone a bad name. Another thing to notice, the older boys, they kind of have a slang when they talk. What are you talking about? And you a loser, boy. Like they kind of have this weird way to talk. And Ender hears this and he copies it. And he kind of gets inside that way to talk to feel kind of buddy-buddy and use that language as power. A martyr is someone who got killed for a good thing or for a cause. And so Bernard, he is a martyr because his arm got broken and maybe it wasn't his fault, kind of in a way. So people think, wow, Bernard, oh, that shouldn't have happened to you. You're so cool. Sadism is liking to cause other people pain. So Bernard likes to hurt and other people. Maladroit is... oh, what was it? I forgot. Maladroit. So sorry. Please look it up and write the definition yourself. Cronies, these are your servants and like a gang. So the leader has some people that follow him and do what he wants, or she. These are cronies. They maybe do like the bad work or the work that the leader doesn't want to do. Imitating means copying. Ender is very good at imitating the older boys, especially their language and speech. That leaves us with our discussion question. What game are you best at? You can defeat anyone, or you're better than most of your friends. And of course, please make your own discussion question. That is all the time that we have for today. But thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Book Club Preview. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.